Kevin Smith keeps talking. Steve White's 89. Yes, so we've got more rumours about Master Universe revelations. Now, it appears Kevin Smith has basically said that Season 2 is going to be the Evil-Lyn show. So Season 1 was the Teela show, and Season 2 is the Evil-Lyn show. So it really is not about He-Man, it's about the women. It's not about He-Man and Skeletor, it's about the women that were perceived to have been beneath them in the original series, which is not really true. So yes, I keep wanting to say Rob Zombie. Kevin Smith did another interview where he basically was saying that Evil-Lyn was his favourite character and that he loved that the women were basically, they were looking at what these women, who they would be without the men, because apparently they were sort of second to these powerful men. They were all in the shadows of these powerful men, these powerful male characters, and who were they without them, and seeing them reflect upon that. And they sort of were trying to show Teela's version of that story, and now they're going to mirror that and show Evil-Lyn's version of that story for the second part. And I'm like, okay, so it's really not going to be about He-Man. Some people were speculating that somehow He-Man would come back in the second part and it would be more about him and so forth. And Kevin Smith was trying to say, you haven't even seen the whole thing, wait to see the second part before you start talking, like we're going to kill He-Man, like we're not going to have Prince Adam, like we're going to not have He-Man and kill Prince Adam or whatever. But that's basically what they're doing. He has said Orko will not come back, but he has said a few things, like he said that basically death is not permanent for people who basically deal with magic. So they might, people who may appear to be dead may not be dead, except for Orko. He said Orko is definitely dead, he's not coming back. But the suggestion is that, of course, Adam will come back and he will become He-Man again somehow. But a lot of people are actually suggesting that's not going to happen, and suggesting that actually that Andro is going to take over the Power Sword and become the champion for the sorceress, who's now going to be Teela, which seems like exactly what they would do, because she's a black woman, so of course the black woman has to be He-Man, because that just seems to be what they keep doing. It's this idea that their idea of diversity is a black female lesbian, and that's it, like no other races, no other genders or anything, just that just seems to be what they want to sort of put in the centre of everything. And I don't have an issue with diversity, but this just, not one-sided, but this singular sort of idea of it, like if we can just change it to a black woman, then we've fixed all the problems in the world with like representation and diversity. I'm like, no, it's more complicated than that. So that seems to be what I think that's what they're going to do. And I was right about them killing He-Man, even though I didn't even believe myself when I said that, but apparently I was right, because that's what they did. But it looks like they're going to do that with Andra, because when she was doing her audition, supposedly she said that she was asked to do He-Man lines where she says, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power. Now, whether they just did that for like the DVD or something, like the bloopers, or just to make the auditions funny to have everyone saying I have the power or something and make some sort of mashup or something, or whether she was saying it because they were going to have her take over the mantle and be the champion and take the power sword. Because a lot of people are saying Teela's going to have it. I'm like, no, she was always going to be the sorceress. She can't be He-Man and the sorceress. But Andra, whatever her name is, could definitely be the champion to her sorceress. And that would make perfect sense. So I think that's where they're going to go. So that's one of the issues. The other issue that was really annoying, basically, a couple of things have happened. First off, the show has dropped out of the top 10, dropped really quick. It dropped after a couple of days. I don't even know if it got to number 1. But it's dropped. It's not there. It's not on the home page. It's not on the front page. It's not on the popular page. You have to search for it. Basically, the views just disappeared. So the general audience doesn't really seem to be caring, and the fans have sort of, the ones who are going to watch it have watched it, and the ones who are not going to watch it are not watching it. So that's very surprising. I thought it would be in, I thought it would do well. I just thought it would do well because it's He-Man and it's gotten a lot of press. But no, so it looks like they're not really winning with this whole attacking the fans, bait and switch, rage baiting marketing campaign that they went for. And shock horror, that never works. I've said that a bunch of times. They did it with other films. It just doesn't work. All you do is alienate the fans. You don't really attract new people, and the new people aren't real fans who are going to really commit and keep watching or buying merchandise or anything. They're just going to watch maybe once out of curiosity and then disappear and not think about it again. That's just yep. So that's where that's going. And so far as stories, the sort of approach now is, well, it's all because of the fans. It's all fan blaming now. It's the fans' fault. They hate it because they're misogynistic, racist, sexist babies, man babies, and they're downvoting it and attacking it, and they're somehow making ordinary people not be interested in watching it. It's all their fault somehow. So it's all our fault. We're being blamed. Articles saying basically, they're basically, drinking the man baby tears basically, and yeah, so it's just stupid. It's not working. It's not helping. If they think this is going to promote the show or help it get more views, they have no idea. And another interesting thing, I saw this article and I thought, that's just so ridiculous. I didn't sort of want to comment on it, but since I'm doing this video, I may as well. Someone went on the attack saying how basically the women in the original He-Man show and She-Ra show were not realistic and they were sexualized, and this show represents a more realistic female body type. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I thought it was a joke. And I looked, I'm like, see, I know this because I know about He-Man. The original show, they took actors and performers and athletes and had them run through all these different motions. They just filmed them doing all these motions and jumping and running and crouching and all this sort of stuff. And they rotoscoped the body. So when you see Teela and He-Man running and walking around and picking up rocks and doing things, that's literally real people that have been basically traced. That's how realistic that show was. And it's the physicality of their figures and all that. And these people saying, oh, they're just these overly sexualized versions of women with long legs and all these things. I'm like, that was a real woman. They literally traced her body. And yet they're saying, and they're trying to say that the females in the show are more diverse and more realistic. No, not unless they're steroided up bodybuilders. My sister spent a lot of time in the gym. She was more of a runner, but she hurt her hip and couldn't run for a while, so she got into the gym because she just had to do something, and she got a bit big in the arms and all that, and that's sort of what a woman who works out can look like. And she didn't look anything like them. They look like a roided up. There's this trend in muscle training and weightlifting, all that now, where these people just get gigantic. They look ridiculous. They look out of proportion, and they're not very functional. They have no flexibility. They can't do anything. And that's the direction they've gone with these. And some of the suggestions that they did this was so the toys could be different from the original show. Because the original show, they weren't that unrealistic, really. They were a bit, but not that far. They were very much based on the sort of weightlifters and muscle bodybuilders of the 70s. And Conan and that sort of thing. And it's a bit exaggerated, but it's not entirely ridiculous compared to, say, the He-Man in the new show, where he's got this tiny little head and this giant body. If you look at He-Man, all the figures, He-Man was pretty much the same size. They were all pretty much the same size, even if they were extreme with their proportions. They were all basically the same size. So He-Man wasn't some giant. He was the most powerful man in the universe because of the power of Grayskull, not because he had more muscles than anyone else. It just is so stupid when you look at the designs. And basically these designs do have to look differently because, of course, and I didn't know who had the rights, but it's Universal that has the rights to the Filmation He-Man, and Mattel only has the rights to the likenesses of their toys, which of course the Filmation show based their characters on the toys. But of course, fortunately, they simplified a lot of the intricacies and designs, so they don't look exactly like them. So they're able to they only had to vary their actual original designs a little bit for the new toys, so they could sell them and not have any licensing infringements and issues. So it's all about the licensing, just like Star Trek Discovery and the JJ movies and the original canon universe and the Prime universe, having to make two universes with different names and all this, and having to make everything a certain percentage different. So, and this was all documented with John Eves and everything, which I was glad to see the screen captures for that again in a video recently, because I lost the ones I had from back in the day. And we've got the same problem again. The same thing with Transformers. It's like, well, we can't give the fans what they want. We have to do our version so we can sell our version, because we can't sell the original, because then we have to pay the people who created it. And it's the same thing with He-Man. So part of the reason why these women are also exaggerated and big is possibly because they're trying to differentiate the characters, not just in their costumes, but also in their build from the original toys, which is also why the new toys are a different scale and everything. So that's everything that's happening with He-Man. Kevin Smith won't shut up. He keeps letting secrets out, spoiling stuff, and the media is basically attacking the fans and saying it's all their fault that He-Man is failing, when really it's because they didn't give us what they promised, and they're not being true to the original, and people don't like that. So that's it. That's my little news update, my little rumour update, my little rant, my little bit of YouTube therapy. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And yeah, who's excited for part 2? I really just want to know, just to see what they do. I really just want to know if I was right with my guesses. I do sort of want to see it, but just to see how bad the train wreck can be. Not because I think I'll actually enjoy any of it. But I'm really going to go this time. Thanks. Bye.